Miyamoto-san, you have the Nintendo 3DS system.
Yes, here it is. This is it. Nintendo 3DS. It's finally finished. Isn't it cute? It's got a little circle and a plus.
Our first project together had a little to do with 3D.
That's right. It's been 20-some years now.
It was on the Famicom Disk System, so it has been over 20 years.
Yeah, I think it was 86 or 87.
3D Hot Rally. We made a disc-based game with it. We first met when we were working on a 3D game that you play wearing 3D glasses with an LCD shutter, so you could say that 3D is an important topic for us.
Yeah, it has this universal appeal, I think. That's why we've tried with this so many times up until now.
That was at the challenge already during the NES days, and as many people remember, we challenged it with the Virtual Boy system. Even after that, we challenged making 3D several more times, although these attempts weren't announced. Hoping it would work this time, we tried many things. We did that over and over, thinking about the next hardware, and as we begin thinking about the Nintendo 3DS, we went at it again.
Every time we've released a new hardware system, we've tried something.
This project did not start with the concept of 3D viewing with the naked eyes. Discussing what kind of hardware we should launch after Nintendo DS, and what kind of hardware can do more than what Nintendo DS has been able to achieve, was the actual starting point.
That's right. You know, there were many different directions, and the DS itself gradually added many features. It became a very useful tool, and the software, I would think, has really kind of broadened beyond what you'd call the typical evolution of an entertainment device. But as an entertainment company, creating appealing entertainment, we're always looking at what the point or hook of the entertainment is. And with our long history of experimenting with 3D, we've always proceeded with doubts. You know, will people buy it? Can it only be seen on certain TVs? You know, or thinking of game options, we always talk about, oh, should we make a new accessory? But, you know, if you don't include the accessory from the outset, you know, then only a small section of consumers will actually buy it. So we always have these doubts about these types of things. And it was in thinking these through that it came to the point where I felt that the only device that could surpass the DS was, you know, Nintendo 3DS.
When we started looking at LCD devices that could show 3D images, and we actually experimented with them, the overall impression by each one of us appeared to be, this looks better than I thought.
Yeah, everybody says they thought it was better than they expected. It was kind of similar when we made the Game Boy Advance originally. Everyone was very surprised when they saw Yoshi appear on the GBA screen. You know, and when Mario appeared for the first time on the 3DS screen, it was the same type of feeling, the same type of surprise. This has a lot to do with the fact that the hardware manufacturer's technology is advanced.
Miyamoto-san, with this Nintendo 3DS, do you have any ideas as to what can be done with it, in terms of things you think will be fun to do in 3D, but weren't possible until now, without revealing too much?
I can't tell you any secrets, but something that's really easy to understand is that once the Mario games went into 3D, they became much more difficult. You can't tell what's near or what's far.
You can't tell the distance.
So when a platform stretches out from across a gap, you can't tell what part of the cliff it's gonna hit at, whether it's gonna be above you or below you.
Most people can grasp the distance jumping sideways, but it's completely different when you're jumping towards the back side of the screen.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell height differences. So actually, one of the most difficult things to do in a Mario game is just jump on top of a tree stump. And it's even harder to hit a floating question mark block. It's in midair. You know, but in 3D, you're able to hit these question mark blocks very easily. You can jump right on top of the blocks very clearly. You know, that's the clear characteristic of 3D graphics. One other thing is, since you're able to tell what's near and far, the sense of realism increases drastically when you're playing a shooting game like Star Fox. you know, or a game where you're kind of hiding behind something, you know, or when you fire and you can see the bullet flying to hidden object.
Having made pilot wings in the past, I see your point. The difficulty level of flying through rings has been made drastically effective.
Oh, that's right. It's so much easier to fly through the rings now.
Because you can't grasp the range of depth, people think 3D display is just about visual impact. But aspects like these make me realize that there really is a lot more to it. The 3D depth slider, which controls the 3D volume, wasn't this created by your strong request?
Yeah, it was. One of our engineers, he always recommends or proposes things that are very close to my viewpoints. He was the one that said we should do 3D. But thinking about it, everyone sees 3D images differently. We have our own kind of the personal way we see things. Our eyes are different from one another.
Even when we're seeing the same thing, some people would like it, while others may say it causes strain.
Among all this, I think it's ideal for everyone to be able to instinctively adjust the system, the settings themselves. With computers, you would have to open the menu and select from different options.
Like having to choose between options
Yeah,
1,
like
2,
1,
or
2, or
3.
3. But I feel that it needed to be more intuitive and kind of direct. Like being able to just, you know, change an audio volume. I wanted to make it almost like a toy. So I asked them to please make it an analog slider.
You said it had to be analog.
If you have to press the button down for too long, it just won't work.
More direct. You needed to be able to tell the change right away. Besides 3D, do you have other features you would like to point out?
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm sure we'll probably talk about this too, but the tag mode feature is one. We had something like that in Nintendogs, where you can communicate with others as you walk by them, or being able to communicate with someone you happen to walk by on a subway by chance. I really wanted to take this feature and strengthen it as much as possible.
Walking around with the Nintendo 3DS. As you walk around with it, you can experience the tag mode in all sorts of places. As you walk around with it, you notice people are talking about the Nintendo 3DS, so you show it off. When those people see it, they too get happy. If things like this can happen everywhere, it would be one of our dreams coming true, and that's a goal we want to make happen.
Yeah, I think so.